Welcome. You're in the War Room. It is Friday, was it the 6th of November, the year of our Lord 2020? Episode 479 now with over 17 million downloads. We're on the John Fredericks Radio Network nationwide. He's got his app. We're on Real America's Voice, our partners in Denver. Want to thank Rob Sig and Howard Diamond. In for the good times and in for the times are a little bumpy. Also, they're on Dish Channel 219 and Comcast Channel 113 in Chicago. Newsmax TV, 70 million homes, Chris Ruddy. G News, GTV will have a special distribution set up on GTV in a little while. And you can get us everywhere else, everywhere in the known world. In fact, today on our Vimeo, just go to all the information that's coming out about the show. Now we're trending globally, right? I would love to say it's for the content, but you come for the content, you stay for the punches, right? Okay, we got a lot to report. First squawk, and we're going to go around. We're going to get you into Arizona. We're going to get you into Pennsylvania. We got people in Georgia. We're going to have Bill McGinley talking about legal. Barris, we're trying to get on here to talk about Decision Desk. An hour ago, Decision Desk called the election for, and Decision Desk is kind of thing that's replaced AP to a lot of people because it's a lot more analytical. Decision Desk has called it for Joe Biden about an hour ago. So you're in the War Room. We're going to get to all of this today. We're kind of the centerpiece for the War Room for what's reality, and that is Donald Trump won the presidency on November 3rd, and he's going to be inaugurated on the 20th, and it's a process, right? We're just going to grind through this. So at about 40 minutes ago, at First Squawk, which I think is one of the sites associated with Squawk Box, or somehow drafts off it, they reported that Fox News said that the president's actually, upon taking advice from certain advisors, might actually concede today. I'm just reporting what they're saying. But I want to go. We got Raheem Kassam at headquarters. But before I do that, we got Fog City Midge, Maggie Vanderberg. We got Jack Maxey, our other co-host, Raheem Kassam's in the field. We're then going to go to Arizona. We're going to go back to Pennsylvania, Georgia. We're going to cover it all today. Hopefully Wisconsin and Michigan. Let you get a feel for the ground. Talk analytics, talk legal, no happy talk, all real talk. And no heads on. No, my producer said they reeled me back. Okay, Maggie, I want to. Literally 2 minutes after this statement came out, or this leak at First Squawk that said people at Fox News were saying people close to the president were telling them after talking to certain advisors overnight and this morning, he is prepared to concede, I guess is the term that was used. And 2 minutes after that, they came. The counsel for the campaign came out with the following statement. Maggie, you want to read it? We have it up on the screen too, but for the radio audience and for those that are driving, why don't you read it, Maggie?
Trump campaign issued this statement: "The election is not over. The election is not over. The false projection of Joe Biden as the winner is based on results in 4 states that are far from final. Georgia is headed for a recount where we are confident we will find ballots improperly harvested and where President Trump will ultimately prevail. There were many irregularities in Pennsylvania, including having election officials prevent our volunteer legal observers from having meaningful access to vote counting locations. We prevailed in court on our challenge, but were deprived of valuable time and denied the transparency we are entitled to under state law. In Nevada, there appear to be thousands of individuals who improperly cast mail ballots. Finally, the president is on course to win Arizona outright, despite the irresponsible and erroneous calling of the state for Biden by Fox News and the Associated Press. Biden is relying on these states for his phony claim on the White House, but once the election is final, President Trump will be reelected."
Okay, there you hear it from the campaign. You can't get more definitive than that. President Trump came out yesterday. We left the air. By the way, we're on at 5 to 7 tonight, too. 10 to noon, 4 hours a day. 5 to 7 back on Real American Voice, all of our distribution, John Fredericks, all of it. Ben Bergquam, we're going to go to him in a minute, from Arizona. President's saying we're going to win it there outright. We're going to go to Ben in a second, but I want to go to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And our own Raheem Kassam, our co-host. Raheem is on assignment up with Corey Lewandowski, Pam Bondi, and the group of fighters that are up there in Philadelphia. Raheem, can you give us a situation report? Right now, you've had First Squawk say that people at Fox News that are close to certain advisors of President Trump are saying the president is considering conceding. Decision Desk has called it. The networks haven't called it yet. I don't think the AP's called it. Pennsylvania, they keep creating ballots and coming in, and people are looking at analytics. Tell us what's going on at headquarters in Philadelphia of the Trump Pennsylvania campaign. Okay, we're trying to get Raheem Kassam.
Good night.
Keep going, Raheem.
Do you have us?
Yeah, I got you.
Do you have us?
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. All right. See, I can tell you that nobody here is giving up. In fact, overnight, I can tell you that the efforts are ramping up here in Philadelphia. They are bringing on more statistical analysts, more people who are looking through, trying to go through all of the data, all of the vote, and look for the anomalies that they're seeing in terms of the turnout in certain counties, turnout that is up, 83% in certain areas that they're going through now, and saying, look, this is not statistically possible. These votes that are being found, the fraud that is quite obvious to most people when looking at this. Now they have to do the evidence-based, to quote CNN, the evidence-based, science-based way of looking at this election, which is to forensically go through the vote and pick out the anomalies. So nothing is giving up here. It's ramping up in Philadelphia. I got to tell you though, you look at the Fox News and AP calls and all of these guys right now. Their decisions are being made off the back of organizations and institutions that are just verbatim accepting the charges made about the numbers, and that can't be true. That can't be accurate. It can't be allowed to happen. Why? Because as we're seeing day in and day out right now, there are thousands upon thousands of ballots that are just coming into the count at the last minute, whether they're being found in trucks, whether they're being found in the counting stations, in the polling places, and the media organizations and decision desks and those guys are just accepting without question that these are valid and legitimate ballots. I can tell you this. They're now looking at, the campaign is now going through with statisticians, going through double voting, going through the mail-in voting, going through, potential felon voting. Every single thing that you could imagine is going through forensically, and the teams are increasing. And here's the other thing. They said to me, hey, look, everybody has to put out a call right now to say, if you know anybody in this business, if you know modelers, you know statisticians, you know data guys, you know mathematicians, the Trump campaign needs as many of those people as humanly possible. So if you're in any of those camps out there in the public, they need you. Your country needs you right now.
I'm going to toss out one right now. Vish, get to Dave Ramaswamy. We'll get the smartest guys. We have some of the smartest statistical people. When we first started War Room Pandemic, we were living with the stats guys. Dave Ramaswamy, these guys are absolutely incredible. Raheem, we're going to put out a call and get as many guys up there as possible, many men and women that are hardcore numbers crunchers. Here's the one thing, Raheem, let me ask you a question. Are they talking about this? Somebody was tweeting it out last night, but this is what I was talking to Barris and other statistical analysts yesterday. It seems that there's this bizarre thing in these battleground states where there's 40 or 50,000 or more just ballots that voted just for Biden with no down ticket at all. No, look, this has got to be verified. And besides that, in all the non-key battleground states, Trump, first off, fairly closely correlates with Trump and the Senate candidates, okay? Biden closely correlates with himself and the Senate candidates, except in a couple of battleground states. Is that the type of thing, for the audience, is that the type of thing that the campaign up in headquarters is going through now, the analytics of that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So specifically looking at that issue, which is the issue that of only the president being ticked, only Joe Biden for president being ticked on certain ballots, and no down ticket. Now, Steve, in my experience, when does that happen? That happens when you're trying to mass produce or harvest ballots on an industrial scale. You don't want to waste time going down the ticket, filling in everything else. You just want to go through as many as possible. And look, as you say, we have to verify all of this. But there are videos out there right now that do appear to show people actually doing that very thing with mass stack of ballots going through and just ticking the president box and then moving on to the next one. So they are looking through all that. And I just want to say one more thing as well, given the YouTube ban, the suspension that we currently have, that everybody needs to make sure that they're sharing the link on Vimeo and for America's Voice .news as well right now. We've got to ramp this show up and show the YouTube censors that the war in crowd will not be silenced.
Okay, give us a sense of the atmosphere there. Is it defeatist? Is it like Dien Bien Phu, or are people ready to fight this through to the end?
It goes in waves. People are getting tired. So this is a situation where more people keep coming in, renewing the energy, and then this morning again, I've seen a real burst of activity, a real burst of energy, and indeed optimism as they figure out the path here, and they figure out where they're looking for these statistical errors. I mean, Corey Lewandowski, I might be able to bring into you live later on in the show. Corey Lewandowski is on a whole new team that arrived last night. I was talking to a bunch of the lawyers last night, just arrived up here. So the renewed energy is coming in with more bodies and more people, alleviating some of the pressure that's been on this small team that's been up here the last couple of days.
Okay, tell me who the senior people up there right now. Who's up there and fighting this?
Well, of course, you've got the core team leading in the form of Pam Bondi and Corey Lewandowski, but they've actually got a lot of people who I have just met for the first time over the last 12 hours or so. I didn't get their full names, but one of the ladies leading the statistical read on all of this, Meg, she's been working overnight on all of this, really been put in charge of the whole operation in terms of the statistical analysis up here. And they're bringing in professors as well right now, people who are supportive of the Trump campaign and people who just want to see the right thing done, who are local here, bringing them in and helping them go through all of the data right now. We're literally about to walk into the HQ here in Philadelphia, so I can bring you back more information as I get it.
Perfect. Last question. You're up there with a bunch of veterans, not just of other campaigns, Corey and Pam Bondi, people all over the country, but you've got a lot of Pennsylvanians like Jack Maxey up there. Is there sense that there's no doubt in their mind this has been stolen and there's massive fraud here, or is it, hey, this is on the bubble and we don't know how you're going to prove it, or we'll go through the exercise and show a good fight, but it's nothing to do here? Where do you stand on that spectrum?
There's no doubt in people's minds that there is a fraud going on here, a massive fraud being perpetrated here. However, they are cautious about going through this data and being able to pull it out. Remember, they were not allowed access into the count room to look and see for themselves what was going on there. So it provides a major block for them to be able to, right now, make claims. So what they're doing is they're having to go around the houses, around the long way around, which is to look at the data and compare the data to the voter file, compare the data to people who have recently moved out, all of it.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Raheem, I have a question that no one's been able to answer, and I had several calls yesterday from people in Delaware County who were forced to fill out provisional ballots because the ballots that they had requested had never arrived. Now, these people that I'm talking about are long-term Republican voters who have health reasons for having to receive these, went and waited in line in a wheelchair, filled out provisional ballots, and I see no provisional ballots listed in Delaware County, Montgomery County, Philadelphia. This is statistically impossible. Can you find out what the answer to that is in your investigations today? Because I think it's critical and people are asking.
I have had some conversations about that, Jack. We are looking into that as well, and looking into the fact that people themselves are trying to verify if their votes were actually counted and reporting that they cannot find any evidence that their vote has been counted. They're not getting any information back. And people are calling up the offices and saying, hey, elections board offices, and saying, hey, we need answers. I need to know my vote was counted. And they're actually getting answer machines and answer phones right now saying, hey, sorry, the office is closed because of coronavirus. Somebody will return your call in due course. So, yeah, we are absolutely looking into that, Jack.
Raheem, you go inside, and we'll get an update from you later. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to go to Arizona next. Raheem Kassam in Philadelphia will be back.
Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room. Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Go to Vimeo.com. That's Vimeo.com / Bannon's War Room. BANNONS. War Room, all one word. Right? Bannon's War Room. Get it? Get the show. Get it today. We're growing in size. That's the reason people get nervous. Not going to back off. President Trump won this election, right? Going to be inaugurated on the 20th. We want to know, everybody in this audience is going to get a special pass, okay? Going to get a special pass, War Room Posse. Now I want to go to, we just had Raheem Gassam. We're going to do some analysis of what Raheem's telling us. He's actually in headquarters in Pennsylvania with Corey Lewandowski, with Pam Bondi, and with others. They're doing a ride to the sound of the guns on statisticians. I know guys are crunching numbers all night, building the case for this, for the fraud, for the stealing the vote. And you got some top lawyers. I can tell you that some very, very, very smart lawyers are putting aside what they're working on and going to work with President Trump and the campaign on some very massive lawsuits that are going to go into federal court. I want to go back at yesterday afternoon, had a tremendous report, live report, from one of the field reporters for Real America's Voice, Ben Bergquam. And Ben's going to join us now from Phoenix, Arizona. Ben, thank you very much for coming on. Ben,
thanks for having me back. I don't know if you caught that. We're out here. We're out in front of Maricopa County Elections Office.
Okay, yeah, we got it. It's a little, you got planes that sound like going overhead, but that's fine. We'd like to hear.
I was hoping that was McSally and her A10.
Yeah, coming in air to mud. Watch out for that. Inciting violence. Watch out for that. Don't go there, Jack Maxey. You got me on the Tories yesterday. I take the grief. Jack Maxey delivered the. Okay, so Ben, when we left you, there was a huge crowd out there in front of Maricopa County's election office about to have like a mini rally. You told us it was only going to get bigger as the night went on. Walk us through what happened out in Arizona. And are those people just wasting their time, or they believe, honestly, that Donald Trump can close this gap?
Well, two things. It did get much larger. By the end of the night, we had probably, I don't know, 300 or 400 people out here. A couple special guests showed up, and it was a raucous time. And a somber time. People were praying, and so the two things that I heard over and over and over from folks that were out here was they believe President Trump legitimately won the election, and they don't trust the outcomes of several of the states, including Pennsylvania, what we're seeing there, and a lot of what we're seeing behind us. All they want, I heard over, time after time last night, was that they wanted the legal votes to be counted. What they're concerned is how many of their votes aren't being counted and how many votes that shouldn't be counted are being counted.
So a team has been out there, I guess Dave Bossie and Boris Epstein. Who else from the Central Trub universe is out there and visible right now, or is anybody? I know that you got great guys at the state level. You got the governor. He's got a big data team. Who out there though is representing, or have you seen that's representing the Trump campaign?
Those are the two that I've heard. I haven't seen. They're actually in the building behind us. I've been in the building. You actually had to get this yellow wristband in order to get in there to get temperature checked. But the Trump legal team is inside the building, from what I've heard, and they're working to make sure they get the most honest election results possible. And back to your question about the numbers. So the first drop we had later in the evening. It shrunk that gap, and so it got the spread ended up being about 45,000 from 69,000. Now it's back up to 46,000. It was 46,000. Now it's back up to 47,000. So the ability to shrink that gap down to zero and then potentially give President Trump a win off the ballots that they have now is getting tougher and tougher. We're down to about 300,000 ballots left to count across the state, and so that's really what it comes down to. And then again, what you see in Pennsylvania, if that holds, then Arizona becomes a moot point.
Yeah, but they're going to court on Pennsylvania, so it's definitely not a moot point today or over the weekend. Let's go back.
That's right.
Let's go back to that 300,000. The 300,000 is what percentage of that is from Maricopa County?
75%. There's still about 200,000 ballots still to be counted here, and they said they're doing 140,000 a day.
140,000 a day. And Pima County is known as a...
Excuse me, that's 66.6%.
Okay. How much...
Correction.
What percentage is from Pima County? Pima County is normally more Democratic, but President Trump's been, I think, running pretty strong there. How much? The rest of it, how much is from Pima County?
there's, I believe, 57,000 votes still coming in from Pima County. And last night, the drop that I saw, President Trump had a 5-point, won that by 5 points.
Yeah.
So, some of these are coming in Democrat strongholds in Trump's favor, which is ironic. Arizona is an anomaly. We haven't seen this anywhere else in the country. Everywhere else, President Trump's leading, and all of a sudden we're having thousands of ballots show up out of nowhere, and they're all going towards Joe Biden. Here in Arizona, it's the opposite. They called it early, and many people believe, as I do, they called it too early. And all these new ballots that are coming in, the late absentee ballots and the late early voting ballots, all seem to be trending in President Trump's favor.
Well, I'm looking at Pima County right now. They're claiming that they have about 20,000 ballots that still need to be counted. They're also saying that there are provisional ballots that they have not counted as well. And I have to imagine that's true in several of the counties in Arizona, because we're seeing this across the country, that these provisional ballots that people were forced to fill out are just not ending up in the tallies.
Also military ballots. Military ballots would be provisional, or military ballots been counted, because they'll be substantial. I just want to read you something to make sure, Ben, and it's Ben Bergquam from Real America's Voice. He's our field correspondent. He's out in Arizona. Did a great job yesterday. I take it there's going to be a rally. You want to give us some news on that? President Trump's, they're going to have a rally out there today?
Yes, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Charlie Kirk will be out here. Several others will be joining him. Obviously, we'll be here, Real America's Voice, covering that. And it's going to be basically what we've heard. We want a legal election. What we are dealing with right now, this has been coming for years. From the cries we've heard about voter ID for so long, claiming that it's racist, disenfranchising voters, all of this, I believe, was set up for this day. Everything that we've seen, the fraudulent votes, the attorneys general and the secretary of states in places like California and Arizona and Pennsylvania saying there's nothing to see here with voter fraud. We all know it's happening, and this year they were able to do it in a way that they've never been able to do it because of the so-called pandemic. It is what we are seeing right now, what we are witnessing right now. If the numbers are able to stand, if the fraud is able to stand, we are electing Antifa and BLM to the President of the United States. And sorry about that. We've got planes flying overhead. We've got trains driving next to me.
That's okay.
It's loud out here. But this is the end of the republic, I believe. And this is really what it comes down to. If when you talk to the people, every single person I spoke to last night, not a single one of them trust the results of the election.
No, that's the problem. Ben, I want to read something to you just to make sure you know how important this is. This was, there was something on Squawk Box, or First Squawk, that said, they put out a tweet that said they had talked to, and this is a very well-known financial information site associated, I think, with CNBC's Squawk Box. They put out this morning that there was a rumors from, or word from people at Fox, that they had talked to advisors to President Trump, and that President Trump, since Decision Desk and others looked like they're going to start calling this story of the day, that he was in the mindset to actually concede. Immediately after that, the campaign put out this release. I'm sure you've seen. Trump campaign, this election is not over. And it finishes, I just want to make sure you understand this, finally, and I quote, "The president is on course to win Arizona outright, despite the irresponsible and erroneous calling of the state for Biden by Fox News and the Associated Press." So I want to tell you about how important they think Arizona is in this turnaround. Ben, I know you've got a package. What I'd like to do, and by the way, don't mind that we love the fact you're in the middle of the action of the airplanes and the trains, right? So you're into it. So what we want to do now is wait. I want to wait till a commercial break. So Ben, if you can hang on, what we're going to do is we're going to go to a commercial break, and then we're going to come back. We'll do a package and talk about. You've got a package with Congressman Gosar, who's a hardcore Trump supporter out there, one of the top conservatives in the entire House, and of course the one and only Mike Cernovich. You know Mike Cernovich is going to ride to the sound of the guns. Stephen K. Bannon, we got Fog City Midge in here as our co-host, Jack Maxey. We've had Raheem Kassam from Pennsylvania. Just to reset, overnight it looks like, of course, in the vote that they're counting, because they're counting all these ballots, right? They're not ascertaining, I think, what's actually appropriate and what's not, and that's one of the reasons they have this massive legal fight. We've had Raheem Kassam, so you've got Corey Lewandowski, you got Pam Bondi, you have others, you have statisticians, analysts, other lawyers heading to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Raheem is at headquarters in Pennsylvania. We've got Ben Bergquam from Real America's Voice out in the field in front of Maricopa County, headquarters. There's going to be a rally there at noon today. What I want to do, Vish, and the guys in Denver, I want to go back to, in the D block of the second hour, go back to Ben, then also to get an update and see how big that rally is. Ben has done a package. Gosar and Cernovich are going to be in that package. We're going to go back out to Maricopa County. We've got other Pennsylvania to go to. We're going to try to track down Jenny Beth Martin in Georgia. Georgia's flipped, at least on the vote that they're counting, to Joe Biden today. So there's a lot going on. We're going to return in a second. We're going to take you around the country. We're going to get to the analytics and the legal, all that. Darren Beatty from Revolver is going to be joining us about the social media aspect of all this. And also about, he says phones are getting blown up. He tweeted out phones are getting blown up over in the House. And people are saying, have Trump's back, or you're going to have to deal with it. We'll be back in a second.
Always see through the lies, people fall, people fight you back. Police corruption with crooked assumption.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, welcome back. We're going to go back out to Maricopa County in front of the election headquarters there. This is probably, along with Pennsylvania, they're all key. They're all critical, whether it's Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania. But this is one where the citizens out there, the Trump supporters, have kind of thrown down and said, no, you're going to have to, this has got to be legal. All these votes are going to be legal. So there's a fighting team out there, Dave Bossie, Boris Epstein, and others. We want to go to Ben Bergquam of Real America's Voice, our correspondent out in the field. Ben, and by the way, Ben is out there in front of the Maricopa. It's going to be a huge rally today, but there'll be planes and trains and trucks and all that. This is called a live action report. So Ben, you were able yesterday to track down Congressman Gosar, who's a huge supporter of the president, one of the most conservative guys in the House, a real stalwart out there in Arizona. Also, you were able to track down Mike Cernovich. Can the guys in Denver, our team in Denver, let's get that package up. I want to watch it, have our audience see it.
Yep.
Then we want to come back to you and get your observations.
Now, we're out here at Maricopa County Elections Office. What do you make of what's happening, what's transpired so far, and what do you anticipate seeing? Do you think President Trump still has a chance to win this?
He does. In fact, Nate Silver tonight said, they ought to take their endorsement of going to Biden off because all things are opened up right now. He said the numbers that what we're citing over and over again are going to make this a close race, and it favors Trump. So I think with all the votes still to be counted, and even tonight, from the dump from Pima County, the president won by 5%, 10%.
And with the amount of votes that are left to be counted, and the questions, the discrepancies that so many of the people that are out here, they're saying they just want their vote counted. How much do you think plays into that with votes not being counted and votes that shouldn't be counted being counted?
Well, I think the first thing is trust is a series of promises kept. So the first thing that we ought to be doing is that if we're going to make dumps of votes, when we say we're going to do it at 7 o'clock last night and you don't, then 11 o'clock and you don't, then this morning at 7 o'clock you don't, and at noon you say you will and you don't, and you wait till 7 o'clock at night, that disturbs people because they've heard the problems. Transparency is worth everything. So they want to make sure that when they make that vote, that it's going to the candidate of their choice.
We're seeing the numbers tighten up. Last number I saw was the spread was only 46,000 now. Do you think President Trump has a chance to win it out here still?
Everybody I know in Arizona say can go either way. It can go either way. Georgia is where people are looking at now. Could go either way.
And Pennsylvania is pretty tough too right now.
Pennsylvania's looking rough for them, but we'll see. There's going to be lawsuits. It's definitely not over today. So if I'm Trump, I don't concede. January 20th, I fight it all the way to the end. And then if you have to leave, you have to leave. So be it, but not until then.
Okay, I want to go back to our correspondent, Ben Bergquam. Ben, I want to go with Cernovich first. Cernovich is saying fight all the way down to Inauguration Day. Take this to court. Just is that the sense you get of the deplorables out in Arizona?
You know, it's a mixed bag. Talking to people, I think there's so many people that just don't trust the process anymore, that they're just relegated to saying, we've lost the thing. But then so many that you talk to say, no, we need to fight this because this has been going on forever, and if we don't stop here, it's over. Yeah. There is no stopping it. Again, we're dealing with a situation where you can vote without ID. You can just say your address. Now you can send in a ballot. You don't even have to sign the ballot in some cases. How can we trust our election results with these types of rules? And I think that's really the bottom line. We have to confirm the ballots that we are counting are legitimate.
But you've got
I agree with Cernovich. Yeah. We should fight it all the way to the end to confirm that.
But that's why you got to make sure they buck up the people. If you just say, "Oh well, this is the way the system is," and it's always rigged, and we're just going to lose, then you're going to lose in perpetuity. Your opening about you're fighting for the republic is fantastic. Jack, you got something?
No, I was just saying, and I said it yesterday, and Don Jr. said it this morning. This is a great moment for the American people to do a deep dive into what has been going on for years. What's going on in Philadelphia, this is a process that they apply every 4 years. It's just now that it's so critical that the whole world is watching. And I hope, no matter what the outcome of this election is, that we dig down into the process, because like you, and I'm getting this from multiple viewers, people have lost trust in the very institutions that are supposed to protect our democratic process. We watch it with the FBI. We watch it with our intelligence services. American people are beginning to distrust the very institutions that we should trust. And to me, it is very frightening that we have a divided country based upon their distrust of government.
Okay, Ben, I want to thank you. It was a fantastic report. What we'd like to do is producer Vish is going to coordinate with you. We want to come with you right before we go off the air at noon to see that'll be 10 o'clock your time. We want to come back to you right before the rally.
It sounds good, and I just noticed that. I love you, Steve, but I just noticed one of my favorite people in there, Fog City Midge. Shout out to Fog City Midge.
Hi, Ben. Great to see you out there.
I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Keep up the great work.
You've got before you go to Sam Faddis, I want to read what Stelter said first, if you can get that up.
Oh, yeah.
And then I want to read this thing from the, if that's accurate, I want to read this from their campaign.
Yeah, I don't have, Basically, I'm grabbing that right now, but that's just breaking. I'm just getting sent that right at this moment. Basically, there are multiple reports coming out. This one's from Bloomberg, but CNN's Brian Stelter reported it as well. The Biden campaign spokesperson responds to reports that Trump does not intend to concede if he loses re-election. And this is a quote: "The United States government is perfectly capable of escorting trespassers out of the White House."
This came actually from an official at the Biden campaign. We verified that. That's on a tweet, or what is it?
This is from Bloomberg, and
it's being reported?
And CNN's Brian Stelter's reported it as well.
Read that again to the audience.
"The United States government is perfectly capable of escorting trespassers out of the White House."
I got to tell you, pretty smash mouth. Not a way to do this. Not cool. And because the president, what he's saying is that he's got every right to sue here. He's got every right to go into federal court. He doesn't have to concede. And also, concession is not even a legal thing, right? It's just it's a form and custom, right? When the votes are certified by the secretaries of state, right, or the state legislatures, then you've got a certifiable vote. If that doesn't happen, and it's got to happen basically between the 6th of December, but no, there's a safe harbor in the 8th. You blow past that. If they're not certified legally, if they're not certified, okay, then the electors don't go to the state capitals, the individual 50 state capitals, and the Electoral College essentially doesn't meet. The framers and others in the after 1800, after 1876, those elections, as part of the Constitution, have it worked out that you go now to what's called a contingent election. And that goes to the House of Representatives. We're going to have Darren Beatty on from Revolver in the next hour, and he's talking to us right now, because Jack Maxey's been sitting there going, hey, don't get your hopes up on the contingent vote. Don't get ahead of over your skis here, Junior. And Darren Beatty's reporting some of that guys in the House right now are getting lit up by people saying, hey, have his back or suffer the consequences, right? Where 2022 is not that far away. Okay, I want to go now. I want to pivot now. We've done headquarters in Philadelphia. We did headquarters down in Maricopa County in Arizona. They're both being fought for. The president's very clear this morning. His campaign's very clear. They're up there right now. There's all type of statistical analysis they're going through about these votes, about the ones that kept showing up. Right? Remember these ballots that kept showing up, and you know they're all over it. Right? In Maricopa County, the same thing. Just remember the people. Remember. MSNBC had the election season, right? It's not election day; it's election season. It's like a new season. You got the holiday season, you got the Christmas season, but they got a new one called the election season because it might take a month, right? Now they're all in a hurry. Got to happen now. Got to happen immediately. That whole crowd that was with that, all of a sudden they got to get it done right away. But you've got people out there fighting right now. They're fighting, and they're not prepared to back down, and they want to have a fair. No one is saying. If a vote is absolutely certifiable, verifiable, right, a chain of custody, that vote must count. It must count. That we're a democracy. If it's played by the rules and you check off everything, it must count. There's no doubt about that. We've said that from the beginning. Jack, you want to jump in here before we get Sam Faddis?
No. I mean, I'm in agreement with you. I'm nodding my head. I think we're in a dilemma here, and we need to solve it. And it's bigger than just the presidency. It is about restoring the confidence in the American people in our institutions.
This is what Ben Bergquam said from the beginning of the report in Maricopa County, that the working class people out there, remember he had the pack shows, the great guy with the beard. What they're saying is that we've got to do this to make sure that these votes are legal and these votes it's a fair election. If we don't have a fair election, we are a banana republic. Let's bring in Sam Faddis. Sam's a career CIA officer and operative. Wrote an amazing book about the decline and fall of the Central Intelligence Agency about 10 years ago. Just wrote another great book about the Kurds, the CIA with the Kurds and their fight for freedom. Sam, you're up in, I take it you've been in Pennsylvania. Give us a sense, before we talk about your intelligence service and how you relate to this election to that, talk to us about Pennsylvania. Talk to us about what's going on in the ground.
Well, we had one of our reporters who happens to be the intrepid Elizabeth Louise Faddis for In Magazine on the ground in Philly all day yesterday. I can tell you what she saw. She saw relatively equal numbers of demonstrators pro-Trump and opposing Trump, but frankly, completely qualitatively different things. By that I mean, on the left, what you got is the usual suspects with banners, organization. They're getting feeds over Telegram where the police are, the numbers of MAGA people inbound, legal counsel standing by to bail them out. What you got on the other side are average Americans who more or less individually stood up and drove to Philadelphia to protest. Which brings me to the question of where the heck the leadership is of the Republican Party and the people that are supposed to be standing with this president. So as of right now, at a grassroots level, we are organizing an event in Philadelphia tomorrow starting at noon. Stand with the president. We want the whole state of Pennsylvania there, screaming bloody murder about the theft of this election.
Okay, so tomorrow at noon, where would it be in Philadelphia? In front of the headquarters of the Trump campaign, or where do you want people to go? Because we'll start pushing this out hard.
Right in front of the convention center, 12th Street and Arch Street, which is the exact epicenter of where all of this is happening in Philadelphia. We're beating the drum on that, and we want people literally from all over the state driving in and saying, look, back to Jack's point, we have a system. We got to have confidence in that system. You're stealing this election. We see that. We're not just going to let you do it. We're not going to be on the receiving end of this.
Sam, can we ask you to hold over to the next segment? We got a lot more to go through with you, but what's happening in Philadelphia and also about your CIA experience. Jack Maxey, is it pretty shocking to you that the RNC, which I think Ron and those guys have done a great job to date, right? Because I'm getting reports now on the analytics and things like that. Is Sam Faddis right? Do you need the RNC to show up during this time, particularly in Pennsylvania? Everything we've ever done in Pennsylvania is a Trump campaign plus the RNC, which have always been very good. In 2016, we wouldn't have won without them. What do you think?
And it's not just the RNC. It's individual congressional candidates who rode Donald Trump's coattails to this election, right? Every single person has to stand up. I consider these elected officials like the officers in our army. They need to lead.
Okay, Fog City Midge, Jack Maxey, Stephen K. Bannon. We're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be back with the team. Sam Faddis with a live report from Philadelphia. We're going to have lawyers, analysts, go through the numbers. We're going to have Darren Beatty in the next hour. Also, more live reports from the ground. We'll return in just a moment.
Forbes.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, Fog City Midge, you got some updates? Hit us.
Yeah, we've got a couple updates. Breaking news. The state of Georgia has formally announced that they will be doing a recount. And also, Brian Stelter over at CNN tweeted, Fox is showing extraordinary deference to Trump, taking his toothless legal suits very seriously and telling staffers not to call Biden president-elect if/when Biden is the projected winner due to the legal challenges.
Okay, we're going to go back to, that's pretty big breaking news. The Fox guys, after calling Arizona so quickly, kind of triggered this thing. Now we're going to treat him with deference and not call Biden president-elect when Decision Desk and others, the AP, start calling it today. We got in Pennsylvania, they're grinding away at the headquarters there, getting ready to throw more lawsuits out there with more analytics. I think they got a court hearing this afternoon in front of a federal judge, Maricopa County, same thing. Now Pennsylvania, I want to go back to Sam Faddis. So Sam, before I ask you the CIA stuff, the sense on the ground when you're putting this call out, and tomorrow at 12 noon in front of the convention center, there's going to be a rally for Trump called Stop the Steal. Is that correct? We have Sam Faddis.
Same sentiment.
Can I get that again? We had a little technical problem, Sam. Is there going to be a rally tomorrow morning at noon, or tomorrow at noon, 12 noon, in Philadelphia, in front of the convention center?
That is correct. All of that is correct.
Yeah, Sam, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, you've got a long history abroad. You've seen how elections operate in some of the worst places on planet Earth. How would you compare, for example, the election that we had in Iraq, where we had definite confirmation of who people were, we dyed their thumbs, etc.? Compare that to the election that we just held in the United States.
Well, look, Jack, this is the way I would put it. Everything that we've ever seen abroad, with people fixing elections, staging coups, manipulating the political process, we have seen and are seeing right now in this election. From Twitter deciding who gets to talk to and who doesn't. Polls that are clearly not just inaccurate, they are complete fabrications designed to manipulate the process. And all of a sudden on election night, when the president appears headed for victory, the curtain comes down in every major state in the country. And when it comes back up as news trickles out, suddenly the entire picture has changed. Not to mention that we have, as in Pennsylvania, messed with every law that guaranteed election integrity to the point where you can almost write something in crayon on a piece of construction paper and mail it in.
But Sam,
and it'll be counted as a ballot.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't the Republicans control the House there, and I think they control the Senate? They control both. I think you may have split, but the Republicans are in control of one of the parts of the assembly. Is it the House or the state? Is it the House of Delegates or is the state Senate, or maybe both? You talk about that, and I know a lot of guys are complaining about it today. Mark Levin went off on it the other day. The Republicans had every opportunity to do something about that, didn't they?
The Republican Party has majorities in both houses in the state of Pennsylvania. This has been the question throughout the entire COVID emergency. Where are they? What are they doing?
So where are they and what are they doing? Inquiring minds want to know. What's the story? You had all this fiasco with Wolf and COVID, but let's talk about this specifically because Mark Levin and other guys who are big students of the Constitution are sitting there going, hey, one of the reasons things are unconstitutional is that these democratically controlled states with Republican assemblies essentially or the governors and the Secretary of States and Attorney Generals wanted to change this thing to radically change the way we vote in the country, and nobody stood up at the time. So what happened in Pennsylvania?
Well, that's a completely accurate description of what happened in Pennsylvania. They stood by and watched and did nothing, which brings us back to what they're doing today. They're watching as the election is stolen and doing nothing. Secretary of State in Pennsylvania was changing significant rules at 10:30 p.m. the night before the election started. Unilaterally, Secretary of State, no ratification from the legislature. And yes, they stood by, like they're standing by right now and watching all this happen. And they are not leading any opposition to this stuff.
Is this our next guest when we come back is going to be Darren Beatty, who is a former White House speechwriter and really the author of this concept of this being a color revolution. Do you believe that? You've been a CIA operative. Is what's going on here, is this a color revolution in our own country?
Yeah, it is a color revolution, and it has been ongoing now for many, many months, all throughout the summer. The disturbances, everything I mentioned with electoral interference before. This is we're talking about threatening the foundations of the republic here. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you ought to be terrified right now, because we're about to lose the system that has stuck by for more than 2 centuries.
Sam Faddis. Sam, tell us about Ann Magazine. How do people get there? How do people get your Twitter handle? And how do they get access to your daughter, the correspondent with Ann Magazine that's now, is she still down in Philadelphia?
She is back here, although she may find herself there again tomorrow.
Okay.
AndMagazine.com. On Twitter, I'm at RealSamFaddis. She's Elizabeth Louise Faddis on Twitter. And she's got a huge following, and she's got guts. She was out there in that crowd yesterday, not backing down from anybody.
No, I got a little dicey. Okay, Sam, thank you. We look forward to, by the way, we're going to have a morning show tomorrow. We want to get a live report from her, somebody with Ann Magazine. There's a rally, I just want to repeat. There's a Stop the Steal rally. Is that what it's called? Stop the Steal or Stand with the President rally at noon tomorrow in front of the Convention Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And what street is that, Sam? What's the address? Or what? It's 12th and what?
That's the intersection of 12th and Arch.
12th and Arch. Okay, fine.
And I also want to repeat something that Sam said yesterday when he posted some stuff. He said, our democracy was born here in Pennsylvania. We ain't about to let it die here. Patriotic family, Sam, big hand salute to you, your daughter, and everything you're trying to do to save this country. Thank you so much.
Sam Faddis.
Thanks, guys.
Dedicated his life to his country as a CIA operative for over 30 years. I think it was 35 years also in the Army, so a JAG officer. Okay, thanks. We're going to turn in a moment. Next hour, we're going to go back to field reports where we got Darren Beatty, former White House speechwriter, one of the smartest guys around in the Trump movement, talking about this is a color revolution. Better embrace it. Also, we got Bill McGinley talking about are these lawsuits, are they really going to get any traction? Okay, we know a bunch of heavyweight lawyers are now in. They're all going to federal court this afternoon, arguing in front of these judges with analytics. Fog City Midge, Stephen K. Bannon, Jack Maxey, War and Pandemic. Back in a minute.